I'm Alan Bell.
And I'm Tana Castro.
And I'm Phil Easley. Welcome to Skyline Illustrated. Economists are in the habit of dividing the fruits of labor into goods and services. But one business, newspapering, is a curious blend of both. The product is the newspaper itself, something you can hold in your hand, refer to, clip, and hang on the refrigerator. The service is information, news about everything from rockets in outer space to wars halfway around the world to births and deaths and drunk drivers and honor roll students in your hometown. Curiosity is what keeps newspapers going, and curiosity is what prompted us to take a behind-the-scenes tour of the News-Virginian in Waynesboro to see how all those words and pictures come together. The newspaper business is generally divided into three parts: editorial, where all the news and information is gathered, written, and edited; advertising, which provides the lion's share of the revenue; and the nuts and bolts, layout, paste up, and printing, the part that makes a newspaper a newspaper. Editor Ed Berlin has worked at the paper for 43 years. Every day starts with a blank piece of paper.
Yes, well, you know certain things that you're going to be filling in that blank piece of paper with, but you don't know everything, and you don't know what might happen that will totally rearrange the plans that you had made for that page. So it's a business in which you really can't get into a rut. You don't get into a rut because every day is different.
Yeah, that was on Friday's page. It was the top picture in the morning.
Ed Berlin calls the reporters the backbone of the business. That's the impression a lot of young people got after seeing Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman in the newspaper movie All the President's Men. After that, journalism schools quickly filled. But the movie showed no local council meetings, spelling bee stories, or the ever-present obituary notices.
Hey, Francis, how many obits have you done?
2, 4, 5. I'm on the 6th one.
Hey, Richard.
Yeah.
How many obits have you done?
Richard Pryor is managing editor. He's written his share of obits in his time and today, and he's seen his share of new reporters come and go.
Well, I think there's a certain aura about this business that's probably unjustified. I think that, there are a lot of people, especially when they start off, who get very nervous. They get tense. When they come in here to apply and get a writing test thrown at them, they occasionally seize up. And I try to get them to imagine it, pretty much that they're writing a letter home, or they've gone to a movie, and they've just gone home and they're telling somebody what it was about, and to try to write the story that way. There are people, you can tell who they are. It's not hard to do this job, but it's hard to do it well. You can tell that there are people who have a feel for the language. They're usually people who are better read than most of the other ones. They have a feel for the meter, how lines balance out. And it doesn't take long to figure it out. Some of them, though, you wouldn't be able to spot it. They come in, and again, it takes a while to lose that tension. But once they do, and they realize that you don't have to follow a set formula for doing any of this stuff, and they let themselves be a little more expressive, then there are a lot of surprises.
By now, as the words and pictures come together, it's about 10:30 in the morning, 3 hours into the workday. Downstairs in the composing room, paste up, where all the news that's fit to print is made to fit. There goes that spelling bee story we mentioned earlier, right on the front page, under the legislative redistricting story about how Democrats and Republicans are fighting like cats and dogs, and over the story about the Augusta County 4-H clover buds. Guess which 2 out of 3 will end up hanging on a refrigerator? Harlan Phillips is the general manager. We asked him if he knew which part of the paper readers liked the most.
Well, there are national surveys, of course, that pretty much give that information. We've done some surveys of our own in recent years. Generally, the front page is #1. The obituaries is probably #2. The classified ads are #3. and the letters to the editor and the editorial page are number 4. Here again, that depends on the reader's interest. For example, if you have someone that's a big sports enthusiast, then obviously he's going to the sports page before he goes to the editorial page. But in general terms, it's page 1, obits, and classified.
Page 1 is almost ready for the press now. They take a picture, make a plate, install the plates in the press, and finally, press the big button. Josh, the pressman, makes a few final checks, some adjustments, and cranks it up to get 11,000 papers turned out in about 40 minutes. And not long after, a familiar sight out in the neighborhoods. I myself have worked for 2 fairly prominent newspapers. This was my job.